first on Guam.
Hafa day and good evening. Welcome to KUAM News Weekend Edition. I'm Mitsuki Hariyama. So glad you could join us. A federal drug defendant will learn his fate in a district court of Guam this week. Dominic Joshua Cruz is scheduled to be sentenced Monday before Chief Judge Francis Tidinko Gatewood. Cruz has since pleaded guilty to distribution of meth. He faces a max 20 years in prison. Court documents state Cruz was caught after he sold more than 55 grams of meth and Dedado. Cruz told the buyer it was worth $5,000. In other news, one of the men charged in the killing of Navy veteran Adam Messier is set to have his day in court this week. Defendant Curtis James Bloss will go to trial Wednesday before Judge John Terlahi. Parties will be beginning to select a jury. Bloss, along with co-defendants Brandon Flaherty and Donovan Carriaga, are being tried separately in connection to the killing. As KUAM reported, it was in September 2017. Messier threatened to report his roommate for illegal drug activity. Messier then went missing before a witness later allegedly admitted the defendants brutally beat Messier and dumped his body. A man accused who admitted to his part in a scheme to smuggle drugs into the prison is set to learn his fate in the Superior Court of Guam. Francisco Garrido Jr., who pleaded no contest to complicity to possession of a Schedule II controlled substance with intent to deliver, is scheduled to be sentenced Tuesday. Garrido will appear before Judge John Terlahi. As KUAM reported, the case, which surfaced in 2020, involved two others, including a Department of Corrections officer. Investigators overheard the scheme on the prison phone recording. Garrido has told authorities an inmate asked him to deliver marijuana, which he admitted he placed in a lotion bottle. Officers also found meth in the bottle. Prosecutors are pushing for Garrido to serve 30 years in prison. Well, the fate of a longtime herbal medicinal farm could close due to a lease issue. The owner is now waiting for the Chamorro Land Trust Board's approval to find out if her farm is here to stay or if she has to pack up and leave. Julianne Hernandez reports.
Alo Tanu Farm has been a known part of Guam's community for the past 13 years. Bernice Tadula Nelson opened the farm in 2010. Her mission is to protect and preserve Guam's native medicinal plants while perpetuating Chamorro traditional healing practices. Inspired by her Sirahana aunt as a child, but it wasn't until Bernice was in her adult years that she put those lessons to use.
But I'm always been interested in medicine, herbs, what's good for you and all that. But I didn't call her up until we were in Hawaii, and I asked if she could come and teach me the chant.
For more than a decade, she has given tours to various groups, organizations, and families, teaching them about the variety of plants. Bernice now on the verge of possibly losing it all. The issue starting when she applied for the Small Business Assistance Loan to help the damages the farm sustained post-Typhoon Mawar. The land is being leased from Chamorro Land Trust. Under the Organic Act, in order for her to keep it, she had to be able to prove her family was living on Guam before 1950. Bernice had difficulty finding the documents to prove it.
Because of my grandfather, they don't issue a birth certificate way back in 1895. And my grandfather's born here. And it's only like it's certified birth and then certified baptism in one card, in one certificate, but didn't say birth. So they want the issue a birth certificate, and then I went back and they asked me that I need a death certificate because somebody from Sipan said that my grandfather's born in Sipan. So I called my cousin. And she sent me the certificate, and it shows that my grandfather's born here in Guam.
She later got word.
They just called me up that I was here on 1948 when I was just a baby before 1950.
But she's not out of the woods, or in this case, farm, just yet.
I didn't know I'm going to get married, so I gave it to my dad to farm. But we moved from Chalampago to here since we got the approval of since I become a U.S. citizen. So, but when I got married, I have to leave. I cannot just stay, because my husband is military. So we have to move in different places. But as soon as he retired, I asked him to come back. so I was here on 1996.
It's now up to the CLTC board to make the final decision. The board expected to meet next week. Still, Bernice remains hopeful.
I'm kind of happy, and like I said, I pray with my ancestor and I pray for the spirit to help me, because doing this farm is not for me. I could take off anytime, but because I'm doing it for the next generation and the young kids, because what we have, the plant is really good medicine, it's natural.
Julianne Hernandez, KUAM News.
It's described as a saving grace for the China market in the Northern Mariana Islands. Regional correspondent Tomas Manglona reports on a new travel program meant to enhance security screening of tourists arriving on Saipan from China.
The Department of Homeland Security issued an interim final rule on the long-awaited Economic Vitality and Security Travel Authorization Visa Program, which will begin to take effect in September.
This is the saving grace for the China market. It's still a CNMI only program, which is great. Through this EVS TAP program, essentially the screening of inbound arrivals are going to happen prior to departure at whatever the point of origin is in China.
The current discretionary parole program, which some U.S. lawmakers spoke out against due to national security concerns, allows Chinese tourists to enter with paper documents on arrival, giving Customs and Border Protection limited time for screening. EVS TAP requires electronic submission of documents at least 5 days before travel, enhancing the screening process. But now that the market's waters are clearer, how will MVA entice travelers?
We don't have any office in China or Taiwan or Hong Kong. So we're kind of going to rely on our partners on the ground who are supporting with the upcoming launch of flights from Hong Kong Airlines. We're just kind of going to use that airlines network to promote travel to the CNMI from that region.
The progress, which came out of previous talks with the White House, is welcome news for the Saipan Chamber of Commerce, who advocated for it.
Homeland Security identified 4 major benefits of this rule. One is the reduction in administrative cost to CBP. As a business, we like costs to go down, so they're thinking as a business, right? Reduce costs. And then also a reduction in the number of inadmissibility cases. So CBP now will do a better job of screening our borders.
It remains to be seen if visitor arrivals from China can return to what was in the CNMI's pre-pandemic paradise.
It's a step in the right direction.
Tomas Manglona, KUAM News, Saipan.
Guam Animals in Need is showing Saipan's dog control team how the Jigo Animal Shelter operates. It's part of Saipan Humane Society's staff exchange project between Guam and the CNMI that kicked off recently. Saipan's dog control team is on Guam to learn how Guam Animals in Need runs the Jigo Animal Shelter. GAIN Executive Director Allison Hadley says it's part of Saipan Humane Society's regional exchange program between Guam and the CNMI.
GAIN and Guam has been able to kind of take the forefront of the animal welfare action out here in this particular region, and so we have the lucky opportunity to be able to share some of our information and knowledge with some of the other departments that are still kind of growing right now and developing their programs and the type of resources they want to provide to their own communities.
The staff exchange aims to improve animal welfare and access to resources in the region. Stray dog handlers Toshiba Togawa and Joseph Mofness are with the Saipan Mayor's Office Dog Control Program.
So far it's been good, a lot of good experience and learning. It's a big difference from Saipan, so we're just trying to take in as much as we can and apply it back home.
Being in like a different environment, learning like new ways or like strategies for animal care. Some of it's like more efficient, could help us.
Mofness adds Saipan's growing stray dog population is the biggest obstacle.
It's like really getting out of hand. Saipan focuses more on that stray population, the issue. But yeah, it's nice like seeing like different ways like how they handle it here.
The 2 stray dog handlers seeing firsthand how our animal control officers work during a ride-along Friday. And while they're here to learn new strategies, the exchange works both ways.
They actually have a lot more animal control officers than Guam does right now. So they're doing ride-alongs with animal control. They're spending time in the SNP clinic. So it's a very well-rounded exchange of information and get to know each other a little bit better so that, you know, if things do come up for either side, we feel comfortable to reach out to our sister islands and sister organizations for that support.
More staff from Sipan will be arriving in the following weeks. Then in March,
a few of us from GAIN will go over to Sipan and help with an implementation phase. And it's also a complete exchange of knowledge too. You know, there's a lot of things that Sipan does that Guam isn't used to.
The exchange program is possible through a grant from Humane Society International. GAIN also thanks the Guam Department of Agriculture's Animal Health Division and the Saipan Mayor's Office for their support. In the heart of dedication and resilience, meet the remarkable young man who has earned the esteemed title of Soldier of the Quarter, standing out as a shining example of excellence and commitment in the ranks. Destiny Cruz has the story.
He's honored with the title of Soldier of the Quarter. Specialist Bryson Ponangbayan of the Guam National Guard.
The title bestowed upon me is a big honor and a privilege.
For the Team Banadu member, answering the call to serve in the U.S. Army was a way to continue his grandfather's legacy, who was a U.S. Navy Chief Petty Officer.
Thanking the peers before me that have taught me what it is to be like, being humble and being a soldier.
And as a Tamuning native, his mission to defend the island is a personal one. He's deployed to Site Excalibur, home to the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System.
It's a big honor to be on Guam and defending the key essential assets to the Marianas. There's some ups and downs to it, especially family time. There's going to be sacrifices made, but I raised my right hand and said that I am going to defend Guam.
And while this young soldier is dedicated to defending his home, he also has his eye on completing his higher education, pursuing his bachelor's degree in online schooling.
I'm going to school and on this mission.
Wow.
Yes, I'm trying to commission in the ROTC program. So that's something I have to balance out as for myself. I'm studying a mass comm with journalism and cinema.
The specialist also deemed as dedicated and motivated by his platoon leader. And adding to these redeeming qualities is the island soldier's humility.
It's a big honor and a privilege to be named that, even though sometimes my peers and my leaders are doing way more than I'm doing. They should be named. Some of them should be named the Soldier of the Quarter.
It's a humble attitude and respect for his fellow service members, exemplifying just why he's named the Soldier of the Quarter. Destiny Cruz, KUAM News.
It's all on the line with the Super Bowl ahead, so here's Jason to let you know where and when to catch the Ravens and the Chiefs.
Okay, guys, I'm going totally out of order. Off with the AFC Championship. It's on Monday. It's KUM TV 11. It's 6 in the morning. You can perfectly watch it. The great time to watch it before you get ready for work, before you get ready for school. And this is a barn burner. Kansas City Chiefs, 6